This is Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanism in Crash Octopus. This is a zany dexterity game, a competitive dexterity game that we had a lot of fun with playing with 4 players this past weekend. There's a lot of clever touches to make this dexterity game interesting, especially in the competitive environment. In no particular order. The core thing that you're doing in the game, so you set up this game with this long string with these beads on it. These beads kind of represent different triggers that you have to do in the game. But I love the idea that they created a play area here. So this defines the play area, and you could lay this out in a perfect circle. You could make it an oblong shape if you want. But I love that the play area isn't whatever table you're playing on. It's the table confined by this string. I think that in itself is a really clever start. So you're setting up this octopus and some ships and other things on this table. So it kind of represents you have this fleet that is gone into this area, sailed into this area, and an octopus has shown up and knocked all the boats over and spilling all their contents. And so in the board, you set up this octopus and all these boats and all the previous contents of the boat scattered all around the board. One of the aesthetic elements that I really like that ends up being a key gameplay element is the octopus itself. They didn't have to build this giant octopus miniature because they use negative space to convey a sense that there's an octopus on the table. There's this semicircular dome that represents the octopus head, and then all the tentacles just come out of the table. You place them on the table, and it looks like there's an octopus below the surface of the table because these tentacles are coming out of the table. I think that use of negative space, and I've seen it in a few other games with octopus or kraken, I think is really clever. The reason that I like this dome a lot is that during the game, at certain times in the game, you are going to be rolling a die, but you're not rolling the die to come up with any certain space on the die. Rather, you're using that die to try to hit other players' ships. And to do that, you have to throw the die off the octopus head. And so that can lead to some zany conclusions, sometimes some very satisfying conclusions, where you're knocking the die and targeting a ship. Maybe it's hitting that ship, maybe it's going in a completely different direction. In the game that we played, there were some very memorable moments from players who happened to get lucky, had a great moment where they hit a die off the octopus head and hit another ship that they were actually trying to hit or didn't try to hit it. That, I think, is a really clever use of this octopus head other than just the aesthetic of an octopus. Last, one of the core things that you're doing in this game is you're using these little flags as the flicking devices. So on your turn, you're generally flicking a token, trying to hit your boat with that token. I like that they have a device for flicking instead of saying use your finger for this. These flags are really satisfying to kind of twirl. It gives you a way to reach around things that you wouldn't normally need to reach around to get to certain tokens. Really, really clever use of a mechanism, of a component here. In addition to that, the actual flicking mechanism uses a great rule, I think, for the game. This is a mechanical rule, which is that you can't just flick the closest token. So whatever token is closest to you, you cannot flick it at your ship. And you also can't collect more than one of any token. So you can't, if I already have a person on my ship, I can't flick another token, because other players are trying to collect full sets of different tokens. But I love this proximity rule, because it means that the easiest choice isn't even available. So the easiest choice is to just go for the token that's closest to your ship. That choice isn't available. So you have to be creative and look at the other tokens that are out there on the board and decide what's in between that token and my ship. Can I get it over here? Can I work around an obstacle? If there are 2 tokens that are similar in distance, which one do I actually go for right now compared to what other players might be going for? I really like that decision space, all coming from a single rule of you can't flick the closest token to your ship. So a lot of creativity, a lot of great mechanisms and ideas went into this fun dexterity game, Crash Octopus. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you've played this, or if you've played a similar dexterity game that had some clever mechanisms that made it just extra fun and wanting you to get it back to the table, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Thanks.